Hey everybody, my name is Nico Hessel, and if you're not already familiar with my channel, I help freelancers and agencies use Upwork to sign more clients. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over the top 6 biggest and most common mistakes that I see people making on Upwork. And to give you a bit of context as to why I'm even qualified to make this video, well, I run an Upwork coaching program, and I've spoken with hundreds and hundreds of people who are using Upwork. And so like I said, in today's video, I'm gonna go over the top 6 biggest and most common mistakes that I see them making. Now, number 1 is having ChatGPT or AI write proposals. Now, I've spoken with hundreds and hundreds of people on Upwork, and it still blows my mind how many people are trying to let ChatGPT write the proposals for them. Don't do this. This is a horrible idea. Now, as someone who spent over $40,000 hiring employees and contractors on Upwork, I've reviewed thousands, if not tens of thousands of Upwork proposals. And I can tell you, it is incredibly obvious who has had ChatGPT write the proposal for them. It doesn't sound like a human, and it's very, very obvious. Not to mention, ChatGPT or AI doesn't have all the context that you have. So for example, if you're applying to a social media management job on Upwork, and you used to be a painter before you became a social media manager, and that company that you're applying to the job for is a painting company, that's something you're gonna wanna mention inside of your Upwork proposal. But ChatGPT or AI, they're not gonna do that because they probably don't know that you used to be a painter, right? So long story short, don't do it. It's not a good idea. Now, the one caveat I do have to this is that if English is not your first language, I would encourage you to have ChatGPT proofread your proposal. Don't have them write it, but do have them proofread it so they can catch any grammatical mistakes. Now, number 2 is going to be not submitting enough proposals. Volume is absolutely crucial to seeing success on Upwork. And if you do the volume, you're going to have real data. If you have real data, you can run real tests. And if you have the ability to run real tests, then I guarantee you're going to see success on Upwork. Now, to illustrate this, I was on a call earlier this week with somebody, and I asked them how many proposals they were submitting on Upwork, and they said they had submitted 70 proposals so far this year. Now, at the date I'm recording this, it's the middle of August, and so that is not very many. That's like 8 or 9 per month, right? And if you think about how much luck is required to get responses from only submitting 8 or 9 proposals per month, it's pretty high. A lot of luck is required, right? Because your sample size is so small. But if you take it to the other extreme, I had a client, Jacob, who had $0 earned on Upwork before he started working with me. And he started submitting 15 to 30 proposals per day on Upwork. And it wasn't a coincidence that he was able to scale from $0 to $8,000 in his first 6 weeks on Upwork, right? And so volume plays a massive role in seeing success on Upwork. Now, if you aren't able to buy connects to submit enough proposals, like maybe your financial position isn't very ideal or whatever else, then I would recommend you submit extremely personalized and detailed proposals, which leads me to mistake number 3, which is not personalizing their proposals. Now, like I mentioned, I've spent over $40,000 hiring employees and contractors on Upwork, and I can tell you that 90% plus of the proposals that get submitted to my jobs have little to no personalization. And it's an immediate turnoff. Right, if I click on your proposal and I see that it's just a copy and paste proposal, you didn't reference anything in my job description, it's not personalized, then I'm gonna immediately click off of it and I'm not gonna give you any consideration, right? And so you need to have your proposals personalized. And the easiest way to do this is to click on the job post and scroll down through the client's recent history section and then find feedback from the freelancer to the client where they reference the client's first name in there. And then obviously start your proposal with the client's first name. So you might say, hey, John, or dear John, right? For example. And if you want to know exactly how to do this, you can go to my channel and there's a 2-minute video that's going to show you exactly how to find the client's first name on Upwork. Now that's a great spot to start, but you should definitely be personalizing your proposals a lot more than that. And so the way that I like to set this whole thing up is I like to create a proposal template for each service that I offer. Right, so for example, if I was to run an accounting firm, I would probably have one proposal template for accounting services, one proposal template for bookkeeping, one for virtual CFO, one for tax planning, right? And so on and so forth. And so this allows me to template 90% of my proposal while keeping everything extremely relevant, right? So for example, I'm gonna have a bookkeeping proposal template, and I'm only gonna use that to apply to jobs that are looking for bookkeeping. And in that bookkeeping proposal template, I'm only going to talk about my experience bookkeeping, clients I've helped with their bookkeeping needs, and so on, right? My bookkeeping skills. And that way, everything is going to be extremely relevant to the job that we're applying for with that bookkeeping proposal template, but 90% of it can just be copy and pasted. And then I like to leave a couple paragraphs at the beginning of my proposal templates for personalization. So in that spot, I'm pretty much just writing what the job is asking for, right? If the job post is looking for a content writer, then I'm telling them that I can be their content writer and including details that they mentioned in their proposals and so on. And if you set up the system like this, like I just described, it's going to save you a ton of time and it should perform a lot better. Now, number 4 is going to be not optimizing their profile. And honestly, this is mostly just because people don't fully understand how to do that, right? And I get it. The Upwork profile has a lot of different elements to it. You have your titles, your specialized profiles, your written introductions, your video introductions, you have your skill tags, your portfolios, your other experiences section, your employment history section, right? There are so many different spots and aspects of your profile that need to be optimized. And it can get a little overwhelming at sometimes. But it's important to keep in the front of your mind that the goal of your Upwork profile is super simple. It's just to build up enough trust with the client that's viewing it so that they send you a message, right? That's it. That's our only goal. That's our complete goal. And so there's a few different ways that we do that. Number 1, by filming video introductions, by providing lots of social proof, and just generally providing an abundance of information so that people who are viewing our profile really feel like they genuinely got to know us as a person, right? And to illustrate how big of a deal this actually is, one of my students in my Upwork coaching program, Austin, came to me when he was really just beginning his Upwork journey. And he had very, very little experience with Upwork, and his Upwork profile reflected that, right? It was kind of a mess. And after working with me, we cleaned up his profile, we got him to film an awesome video introduction, and shortly after, he was able to sign his first 2 ever clients on Upwork. So this stuff works, and it's incredibly important. Now, number 5 is going to be not understanding the Upwork funnel. Now, I was debating whether or not to actually include this in my list because it's not necessarily a mistake that people are making, but more of just a general lack of knowledge. But regardless, it's costing them tens of thousands of dollars, so I figured that I would include it in this list, right? And so what do I mean by not understanding the Upwork funnel? Well, I mean that you need to understand every single step from the time that you submit a proposal on Upwork to the time that the client has hired you on Upwork, right? You need to understand what Upwork looks like from the client's point of view, right? You need to understand that they can only see the first 300 characters of your proposal when you submit it. They can't see the entire thing right away, right? If they see the first 300 characters of your proposal, they're going to click on it, then they're probably going to read the rest of it. If they like that, well, they're probably going to click on your profile to learn a little bit more about you. Like we already covered, the goal of your profile is to build up enough trust so that they send you a message, right? After messaging you, you're probably going to want to get on a call with them, right? And so on and so on and so on. And so that is essentially a very, very quick version of the Upwork funnel. And if you are interested in this stuff, I have a couple of videos on my channel that reviews the Upwork funnel and kind of how to use it a little bit more in depth. But it is really important that you understand the Upwork funnel because that's going to give you the information that you need to know how to optimize each part of the process. And the 6th and easily the most devastating mistake that I see people make on Upwork is going to be not understanding Upwork's terms of service. Now, this is generally beginners who are making this mistake because they just don't think it's an important step, but I can promise you understanding Upwork's terms of service is incredibly important. You know, I've known guys who had earned over $30,000 on Upwork who broke Upwork's terms of service because they didn't realize they were breaking it and they got immediately banned, right? Just because you've earned money on Upwork, just because you have a reputation for doing good work, it means absolutely nothing. If you break Upwork's terms of service, they can ban you. And if they ban you, you will never ever be allowed to earn money and create an Upwork account again. So that's a pretty big deal. I don't know about you guys, but I plan on using Upwork for years and years and years and years to come. And so doing something that could potentially violate their terms of service is not worth it in any way. And so like I said, I do recommend that you guys go and read Upwork's terms of service, but by far the biggest and most common mistake that I see people make when they're breaking Upwork terms of service is just generally that they're sending links to communicate with the client outside of Upwork. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean if a client messages you on Upwork and then you were to send them your email, you were to send them your phone number, you were to send them a link to your calendar, if you sent any of those things to the client in the Upwork chat, Upwork is probably going to flag it, and they're probably going to ban you, right? They might give you a warning first, but regardless, you don't want to do it. It makes absolutely no sense to risk being able to use Upwork as a platform, right? And there we have it. Those are the 6 most common and most devastating mistakes that I see people making on Upwork. And so if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.